Hey y'all, it's your girl Cassandra with Pecan Porch Boutique, and today we're going to be working on a roadside find. My brother actually salvaged from an old grandfather clock this door that I thought was so neat. It has bevel glass in it, and I thought it was in pretty good shape, even though the clock itself was kind of junky. But he salvaged it for me, and I thought, okay, well, Cassandra, you can't leave nothing laying at the road, girl, so I'll see what I can do with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take just my little razor and I'm going to go along the sides and clean it up, because it looks like maybe what someone did was they tried to stain the frame, and so it got onto the glass. And so I'm just going to start scraping that back. And this razor, using this little razor, will also give me a chance to get some of the dirt out of the corners and the edges. So while I'm inside working on my project, I have contractors outside working on another project to continue replacing some of the old windows in my house. And here are my materials that I'm going to be using on this project. I'm going to be using 2 decoupage papers and some little gears that I ordered from Amazon. The owl paper is called Oliver Owl, and it is by Mint by Michelle. The other paper is called Mechanic, and it is by Roadside Treasures. So those are my 2 papers and my little gears that I'm going to be using. But I'm going to start by using IOD's Garden Bouquet stamp, and I'm going to be using that, y'all, at the very top of this door. And I'm going to be just stamping it on with some StazOn ink in black. Now the Garden Bouquet stamp was new. I had ever used it, so I just opened it. So if you first using your stamps, you want to make sure that you take a fine grit sandpaper and just kind of go over the top of them, just so that it will give it a little bit of tooth, so that when you go to stamp, it will stick better to whatever you're stamping it to. Now this StazOn ink really sticks well to glass. And I'm going to be using all of the elements of this particular stamp. It's a really pretty stamp. I know you can't see it really well on camera because I'm stamping it on glass, but it has a lot of different flowers on it, bouquets and things like that. Very pretty stamp. I'm going to move on now to my decoupage paper, and this one again is called the Mechanic, and it is by Roadside Treasures. And this is a good time for me to say that if you're interested in some of the products that I'm using in tonight's video, you can find those on my website at www.pecanporchboutique.com. Now I'm just going to cut this paper in half because I won't be using much of it. But I'm going to take my little water on a brush and I'm going to start trimming around the edge just to get like a fussy cut edge, so I won't have that straight edge. So that's what you see me doing here. Just dipping my brush in water, taking the water around the edge, and then pulling back that edge so that I get a jagged edge. Okay, I'm going to start on Oliver Owl now, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to trim around the edge. And one thing to note when you're doing this fussy cut is the darker the pigment is on the paper, the more water you have to add to it in order to get it to kind of pull apart. So just something to note. Okay, y'all, another part of my plan for this door is to do some of the mirror effect. And so what you see me doing here now is you see me just taking a dry erase marker, and I'm just going to trim out where my decoupage paper is. And so that way it's going to show me what spaces are available between the decoupage paper, which in this instance on this piece is not going to be a lot. And that space is what I'm going to be spraying with the mirror effect. So that is why I'm doing this. Trimming it out with my little dry erase marker so that I'll know where those empty spaces are and where to put my paper back once I'm done. Now, one thing I should have done if I had had a longer table is I should have did it from the bottom up. So I should have put the paper under the bottom and traced it under the bottom, because once I flip it over, which is where you do the spray effect at on the back side, once I flip it over, my shapes are going to be different. But in this case, it didn't matter. So here you'll see me flipping it over, and I have my mirror effect spray now by Rust-Oleum. And in this little jug here, or in this little plastic jar here, I have some vinegar and water. 50% vinegar, 50% water. So the first thing you do is you just take your mirror effect spray and you spray it. And again, I don't have much space here, so I'm just spraying it in the little crevices that where my decoupage paper won't go. And sometimes it'll bleed over into that a little bit, but I don't care about that. But I'm trying to keep it in the areas where my decoupage paper will not go. So I just spray my mirror effect spray, and I do have a window open, y'all, so because I shouldn't be spraying inside. But once I spray the mirror effect spray down, then I take my vinegar water mixture and I spray it on top of it. And then I just take my little shop towel and I dab it back. And I had to do this about 3 or 4 times to kind of get the effect that I wanted. So you may have to do it more than once. Once I get my mirror effect spray down and all the layers, however many I want, and once it's all dry, and I do let it dry in between. So when I do one mirror effect in vinegar, I let it dry and do another mirror effect in vinegar. So once I get that all down and everything the way I want it, I'm going to start now doing some reverse decoupage. So I'm starting on the back of the door. And reverse decoupage is just the opposite of regular decoupage. So I'm going to be laying my decoupage down with the image face down instead of using the back of the paper. Typically, you would lay the back of your paper down into your whatever you're going to use to adhere your paper to your piece. I'm using DIY's liquid patina. But instead of laying the back side of my paper down into the patina, I'm going to be laying the front side of my paper down into the patina. So this is called reverse decoupage. So that is what you see me doing here. Just like regular decoupage, only I'm laying my image face down into the decoupage medium. So I'm just laying down the medium, laying my paper down into the medium with my image face down, taking a piece of, I think I have like a little piece of that cling wrap on my in my hand, and I'm just going to smooth out the wrinkles just like I would if I were doing regular decoupage. And I'm just going to work through my paper a section at a time until I get to the end. So I'll do a section, I'll smooth it down, and then I'll lift up what's left. I'll do that section and smooth it down. And again, because I used the dry erase marker to kind of lay out a map for where I want my decoupage paper to go, I'm going to just lay the paper within that little section that I have sectioned off, which should be mostly outside of my mirror effect spray. So you'll see me just kind of, once I finish laying down Oliver Owl, I'm going to speed it up and I'm just going to go through. But if you see me doing some crazy curving like I'm doing right now, it's because of where I've sprayed that mirror effect spray. And now that I've gotten my paper down on the back side, I flipped it back over to the front side of the door and I can wipe off my dry erase marker. And now I'm going to be using another paper from Roadside Treasures, and this one is called Carmen's Color Swatch. I thought it would go really good with the colors that Oliver Owl has in him, or the flowers that's all around him as well. And so I'm going to be using that at the top of the door over the stamp that I did. And I think that it will help bring out not only the colors in the owl, but also it will help be a great colorful background to the stamp that I did. So I'm just going to trim around this paper. I cut it up. I'm going to trim around it, kind of score it with my finger and cut it off. And I'm going to use that same reverse decoupage method to adhere this paper to the top portion of the door. So here's a quick little sideways glance of what it looks like. And I know you can't tell much about it right now, but we'll get a closer look later on. I'm going to move on now though to covering the back. So if you were just doing reverse decoupage, what I typically do is I go in and I just paint the back of the decoupage paper white. Because if you were using tissue paper like I've used with these papers, you would paint the background white and then lay your decoupage paper into the white. But with the mirror effect, it needs a darker background. So I have this craft paper that I use for different things, and I had a big roll of it. So I thought I'm going to just kind of trim this down. I'm going to score it out, trim it down, and I'm going to cut it up, and I am going to add that on the back of it. So that will not only cover the decoupage paper, but it will also cover up the mirror effect so that it will give it both both of them more of a way to stand out and not be so translucent. And I want to just give credit where credit is due. These were not my ideas. So the paper wasn't my idea using the craft paper, and neither was the little dry erase marker. But I saw a couple of other creators using that. So I thought, good idea. I'm going to use it too. So now that I've kind of measured the paper, I'm going to go in and I'm going to trim the back edge of this door in black using DIY's little black dress. And I'm going to also use that same little black dress to paint the paper. And now I'm just going to take that same decoupage medium, which in this case is DIY's liquid patina, and I am going to decoupage the craft paper onto the back of the door. And you're going to see at first that there's a lot of bubbles, but once it dries, some of that's going to go away, which I will show you in just a second. So as you can see, most of the bubbles have gone away. And I'm sure you noticed that it was the black side of the paper that I put down. Once I painted it, then I just flipped it over and I put the black side down on the back of the door. And now these little wooden gears, I thought they were so cute, y'all. And you know, Oliver Isle has this kind of steampunky thing going on. So I actually ordered these little wooden gears from Amazon. I can't remember how much they cost. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint them all black, and then I'm going to take my gold and my brass gilding wax and just kind of add a little bit of gilding wax on it. And y'all know I couldn't help but to add some gold, but I did add some brass too because I thought they would look good. And Oliver Isle has all of these kind of steampunky things on him in brass and gold, so I thought they would go really good. What y'all can't see is me fighting with this E6000 glue. It would not come out, but I struggled with it and I got enough on there, and so I got it all the gears glued on. So let's take a look, y'all, at where this thing started and look at where we are now. I thought it turned out so cute. With the top has its little color and decoupage on the back, and then we have Oliver Owl. We have some of the gears going on in the mechanics decoupage paper, and you can see the little gears, and I glued them on finally after I got the wrestling with the glue, and I think it really turned out good. Hopefully y'all can see a little bit of the mirror effect also. I think it turned out really cute. Now the one thing I struggle with, y'all, is whether I should have painted the frame, but I thought I would leave it original with all its dings and stuff because I wanted it to look old. So you guys tell me what you think. Hopefully you guys have loved this video. I really enjoyed doing this project because I like junk. And so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you will give me a thumbs up. I hope that you will follow me. And don't forget, until next time, to bud, bloom, and be unique. Bye-bye, you guys.